I've been going back to who I was and who I needed in my life to help me grow when I first had that total mental breakdown in 2010. And I keep putting myself into this position of like, what did I need to hear? Who would I have really needed to show up for me and explain things to me in a way that I could believe that it was possible for me to be happy, healthy, and hot? The belief system that I have is the thing that helps me stick with all of these very mundane, boring habits to keep your body happy, healthy, and hot. Like, there are choices that I have to make every single day to choose my thoughts, to choose my feelings, to choose what I'm doing with my body, to choose what I'm putting in my body. And this is a level of awareness that to me now is very, very natural. But 13 years ago, I couldn't do this. There was a million reasons why I couldn't do this. And when I did do certain things for the habits that were good habits, they weren't giving me the effect that I wanted because my thoughts and feelings really weren't fully on board with them. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you about my belief system is that I believe that every metaphor that has to do with a love story is really about the physical body and the light bodies. So this is why I am obsessed with figuring out how to teach you about what the tools within are with your chakras, your brain, your heart, and your lungs, and what the different layers of your light body are doing and what the toroidal field is doing. Because there's this whole universe, literally, astrophysicists agree, there is an entirely non-physical, antimatter universe that is going on along with this physical one. And when I was doing this research and I was finding out about these metaphors, I'll talk about a metaphor in a second, the dragon. It's about your conscious, your subconscious, and your unconscious mind. And the journeying of separation from source and experiencing something, going out on a journey and then returning home, the hero's journey, having something like a rock bottom moment, something terrible that happens that you have to go on a quest, a healing quest to fix a situation, and you find the elixir and then you bring it back to your town, and then everybody can partake in this healing elixir for whatever problem. Like, you get to come home and bring a solution. And when I was doing some work this last week, I was kind of feeling like a little depressed and a little bit like having a purpose or a mission was really feeling egotistical to me. Like, nobody needs to be saved. We're all having this journey. But then it would lead me to this question of like, well, what's the meaning of life? And so when I really poured into my notes and put all of my experiences on paper, so then I can fine tune, comb, go through them and like really share them with you piece by piece. I'm like, I found my way home through my body. I found my way home to this, what's called herogamic union between your non-physical self, which is masculine energy, and your physical self, which is feminine energy. Like, we are the holy marriage. And there's so many Bible verses and different spirituality stuff that talk about a marriage between you and God, or a connection between you and God. But it's not necessarily God as anything outside of yourself, because we're all connected to God. We are all part of God. And so when we find out the part of us that is God is energetic, when we create that union, that's the holy marriage. But it keeps boiling down to it's our connection to ourself. And so I was thinking about these minds, because what I've learned and what I've been able to do for myself is fuse together the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious mind. And what I mean by that is it's called metacognition, where you can actually perceive yourself doing a pattern while also knowing why you're doing the pattern. It's called metacognition. It's a real thing. And so in spirituality, that's you becoming the observer. And the only way that that's possible is that you have been able to look in these compartments of your mind, of the unconscious mind, where the root cause of all of your beliefs and your feelings and who you are is stored, so that you don't have to work on being who you are. You just who you are. But we get downloaded with this information when we're learning how to be human, when we're born, all the way up until we're 7 years old. The other part of your brain that you have to be able to have awareness of is your subconscious mind, where your patterns are, where like I have an anxious reaction to something, I have an avoidant reaction to something, I fight or I fawn. Like that's you knowing what your patterns are in a reaction to something that is touched in your unconscious. Then you have your conscious mind, where you are making choices, where you're like, oh, I feel the urge, I'm going to give in. Or I feel the urge, to binge, whatever. I feel the urge, I'm not going to give in. So this metacognition is a very real thing that everybody can do. And it's an awareness of being able to see the patterns that are held in the subconscious and the reasons why that are held in the unconscious. And for me, I'm all about symbology and metaphors. And the metaphor of the dragon is that we're riding the dragon. And there's a big part of me that believes that when these metaphors get turned into something is evil, like the dragon is evil, that you want to go slay the dragon, I'm like, of course, this is just like another layer to the deception of the hero's journey, that the dragon was never anything to be afraid of. There's nothing ever to be afraid of within you. It's knowing the things that are within you so that you can ride them. And this metaphor of riding the dragon, and why I've changed my logo to be the dragon holding me in like a little globe in her tail, is because this is what it is. It's you're in the driver's seat. You're the person riding the horse. Like there's another analogy that the horse is the subconscious mind and the rider is the conscious, because wherever you direct the horse with your heel or a squeeze of your thighs, that's where the horse is going to go. So we're directing this. And when we're looking at this metaphor of the dragon, it's like, for me, it's like when I think about it, it's like, why am I making this decision? What's going into the requirements to make this decision, and what's actually going to come of it? So those are the things that like I kind of think about when I'm like thinking about my habits and like, what do I want to change? What do I want to do? What does it all mean? But it's always coming back to this, like, whenever I feel a limitation, if I feel a self-limiting belief, if I feel doubt, it's like, well, where am I wobbling on this dragon? What in my unconscious is still programmed to say, I can't be this healthy, or I can't be this attractive, or I can't be this good at disseminating this information? Like, what is the thing that I'm feeling wobbly about? How can I feel more steady on this? And when we're learning these new patterns for our subconscious mind, it's a process for us to really get to know how we have separated from ourselves. Because yes, we have attachment theory that's all about how do we attach to our caregiver? How does this little infant body feel secure that it's going to survive? But it's also, we're still kind of unconscious when we're born, but we always have consciousness. So it's like an and kind of a statement. This is like where the universe gets really convoluted and everything is yes, while also being no. But for me, this separation, as I understand it, this delineation of a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and an unconscious mind, is how we forget that we are part of the anti-material universe. Because when we're in form and we have the senses coming from the outside in, we are less and less of that intuitive sense of feeling the senses from the inside out with our intuition. We become all perception. And the more we become human and just perception based of having the stimulus come from the outside in, we end up learning who we are from the outside in and forget this whole unconscious, invisible side of us that's always connected to source, that never really left source energy, was always tethered to it. But because we crossed, it's called the pleroma. Because we crossed the pleroma, it's this milky white opalescent substance that astrophysicists say, yes, there is something there between the two universes. We like transport through those two and just perceive ourselves as separate. So for me,
I don't have an answer.
For me, of course, Siri doesn't have an answer to this. For me, this separation, this unherogamic union, this inability to ride our dragon, and the dragon just takes us over, the feeling that I have and the belief system that I have that everything that I'm doing in my patterns is a result of how I've believed I'm separate from source, that gives me the motivation to be like, if I have a thought that I want to look a certain way or I want to achieve a certain thing, and then I have limiting beliefs or doubts that say I can't do it, or I start to feel those emotions come up, that's just evidence as a place where I have like deconditioned my soul to go into the human conditioning to make sure that I would feel a sense of attachment. But because it's the outside in experience of being human, I displaced what I was really searching for, which was the home sensation between me and my light body. But then I played it out on my body, on food, on exercise, on relationships, on work. My belief system at its core is that every single metaphor about a love story, about a return home, is about us and our light body. And anything that gets in between you and that connection, that gives you a sense of self-love, that heightens your self-esteem, that expands your self-confidence, anything that takes away from those is the belief that you are separate. And it's also for me that if we feel that God is something separate or some sort of a male entity that we somehow need to come back to, it's masculine energy, because the masculine energy is the thought, is the frequency, and the vibration is the emotion, is the feminine energy, is the thing that actually produces the thought. That's where the masculine and feminine energetics come into as the metaphor for the quantum field. So we're reconnecting our mind and our heart, our thoughts and our feelings, and we're doing it through the physical body, because that's where those mechanical things are. Like your brain is the thing on the 3D level to transmit the thought on the non-physical level, on the dimensional levels that are not the third dimension. And then our heart is the thing that sends the vibration for us to actually manifest. So we have this vibration that goes out into the field, into this quantum field that we can't see until it materializes into a particle. Everything is a wave until we focus on it into a particle. So our thoughts and our feelings are masculine and feminine energy, are the divine God the Father, divine God the Mother, and it's us that brings us together. We're the divine child, or we're the will of God, because our will is that 3 to 5% that's making it all happen. And we make it all happen when we understand the subconscious mind and all the patterns that we have to try to feel attachment, but we don't. And then all of the reasons why on the unconscious mind of everything that we experienced while we were still an egg, even inside of our mom, when she was a baby inside of your grandma. Like, we go back so far, like we are truly continuous. Everything is stored within our body. So it's our divine will of God, our conscious 3 to 5% that's going to make this decision to investigate the how of the subconscious mind and the why of the unconscious mind. And like, we're the what? Like, everything is about you. Every spiritual resource that we have out there is about you. And so when you decide what you want and what you decide you want your body to look like or to feel like, or what you want, any type of experience in your life, that desire of your heart, like that desire, you may find out it's a reaction to something and it's actually not really true for you or not really meant for you. But the only way to find that out, if your desires are really what you want from the soul level or what you think you want to avoid pain, you only find that out by going into the depths. And we go into the depths by really assessing why it is we're doing what we're doing. Why, if we get upset, we eat. Why, if we get upset, we go and work out 3 times or for 3 hours. Like, why, right when we're getting somewhere, we have a setback. We get to find out all the reasons why. And when you find out the reasons why, there's always someone or something that you did to forgive. And that's really the taming of the dragon. That's really being able to get on the dragon so that you can ride it, you can ride your whole body with that 3 to 5% of your conscious mind. You know, this is how I believe, this is how I think. And so you'll have to let me know how this is landing. We've been talking about attachment theory a lot, and more of like the scientific reasons why in our human conditioning. But in this one, I really wanted to share with you more of what my beliefs were, of how like I operate and think and feel about the life experience that has helped me stay disciplined through these last 13 years to really take my body from how unhealthy it was and how unhealthy I was in my mindset to what it is now, to not have limitations with it, you know, just like living the healthy lifestyle now. So thank you so much for being here. We will catch you next week.